My husband left me to take care of the twins by myself. When my bump got bigger, he didn't even seem to think of taking care of me. On the contrary, he said,
"I'm going on a business trip for a week."
I can't have that when I'm already busy with the twins.
"I can't do anything about it. It's my job."
This was when I knew he was hiding something. I looked into it, and sure enough, I found out about his betrayal. After seeing him off on his business trip, I muttered a few words to myself. I hope he comes home safely. My name is Megan. I am 36 years old, and I work from home. I live with my husband Kevin in an apartment. Kevin is 5 years younger than me, and we met at our favorite coffee shop. We both enjoyed reading. One day, one of the books I was reading caught his interest, and he came over to talk to me. I liked Kevin because he was cheerful and friendly. However, he is younger than me, so I didn't see him as a romantic interest at first. Kevin approached me and repetitively said that he liked me. I eventually fell for his eager approach, and I married him at the age of 30. After marriage, we never had a big fight and lived peacefully as a couple. But there was something that bothered me all the time. That problem is my inability to have children. We had been trying to conceive a child since the second year of our marriage. There was no sign at all. We went to the hospital together and decided to take a fertility test. As it turns out, there was nothing wrong with Kevin's side. Instead, it turned out that I was the one who had the difficulty. We later underwent fertility treatment, which was physically and emotionally demanding. It was expensive and stressful. Eventually, Kevin got frustrated and started taking it out on me. I didn't resist it because it was my fault that we couldn't have children. One day, Kevin, who was fed up with the fertility treatment, said,
"Why don't we spend the rest of our lives, just the two of us?"
But I couldn't give up on our child. I'm begging you, please, keep with me for a little longer. I really want to have a baby with you. I'll give up when I approach my 40s. Kevin grudgingly accepted my desperate request, and so it went. And so, after a series of fertility treatments, I finally managed to conceive. And I'm super happy because we're expecting twins. My parents, friends, and in-laws all congratulated me on this pregnancy. I'm so happy. I'm going to raise them well. My relationship with Kevin, which has been strained lately, should be better now. I was thinking of the days I would spend with him and the twins. I'd never raised a child before, but I'd done my homework beforehand and I thought I'd be fine. However, raising twins was much harder than I expected. I can only regret that I was so naive about this. I had heard that the real work begins after the birth of a child. And that is exactly right. First of all, of course, it takes twice as much effort. Breastfeeding, changing diapers, bathing, putting the child to bed, and other daily care for 2 children is needed. One child needs to be fed 8 to 10 times, but twins needs to be fed 16 to 20 times. In addition, the timing of breastfeeding is not always the same for twins. While I'm feeding one of them, the other one starts crying. And when I feed them, the other one gets impatient. And that repeats all over again. Changing a diaper is the same as breastfeeding. The timing is not the same. And sometimes, while you're changing a diaper, the other one's diaper gets dirty. When that happens, it takes time to get a change of clothes and a new diaper. In addition, children often spit up milk, sweat, and get their clothes dirty from changing diapers. So they need to be changed frequently. Just when you think you've changed their clothes, 5 minutes later, they're already wetting their pants. And if you're holding them in your arms, even your clothes needs to be washed. This happened ever so often. It takes a lot of time and effort just to change their clothes and wash them. And of course, it costs twice as much to raise twins, which is a huge financial burden. When I think of the cost of buying diapers, milk, and clothes, it's a little discouraging. And they both cry so much at night that I couldn't get a good night's sleep. They cried for a long time, and it was hard to get them to sleep, even if I held them in my arms and soothed them. Just when I thought I could finally get to sleep, one of them would start crying, and the other would wake up. I couldn't sleep properly, and was about to collapse every day. I had to concentrate on raising the twins, so I had to take a leave from my work, though I worked from home. My mother also works and cannot help me with childcare. My mother-in-law lives far away, so I could not rely on her. They say you should rest your body after childbirth, but it was not possible at all. I had just given birth to twins, but I had to struggle on my own. By the way, as for Kevin, he was of no help at all. To be more precise, he was uncooperative from the beginning. When Kevin saw the newborns, his first words were,
"I didn't know babies look like monkeys. Not cute at all, eh?"
and laughed. He even jokingly asked me,
"Are they really my babies?"
to me, tired after giving birth. My husband leaves all the housework and childcare to me because of his work. When we didn't have children, it was fine. But now that I have 2 newborns, I'm annoyed that he doesn't try to do anything. When I try to get him to help, he says he can't because he doesn't know how to do it. It's my first time raising kids, so I don't know how to do it either. Even though it was his own children, Kevin was somewhat of an outsider when it came to raising them. I've tried to talk to him about it, but it always ends in failure. Kevin, I know you're busy with work, but I'm barely postpartum, and this is the hardest time for raising children. You're a father now too, so you need to take on a little more responsibility. Can't you come home a little earlier and help me out? Then he turned his head to the side.
"What? Thanks to my hard work, you can relax at home. Don't you understand that? And you want me to take care of the kids and do the housework when I'm exhausted from work?"
You're kidding, right? I want to work too, but I can't right now. And I'm not home to relax. I don't sleep enough every night. Why can't you help me a little with the housework and childcare? Kevin had no intention of agreeing, and the discussion had no end. Finally, Kevin throws a tantrum and forces to end the conversation.
"Gosh, I can't even rest at home. You know, I've been through a lot with your infertility. And just when I thought I'd finally be free from those treatments, this happens. If this is what's going to be like, I wish we'd never had kids at all."
Kevin spat out those words and went back to his room. I had my head down in despair. Maybe it was selfish of me to want to have children. Unlike me, Kevin didn't really want to have children, and in retrospect, he was reluctant to try fertility treatments. When I think back, Kevin's attitude gradually became colder and colder after I became pregnant and my hyperemesis became worse. He would yell at me angrily if I neglected my chores or was sleeping because I was sick. I felt guilty for putting him through infertility treatment, so I just put up with his verbal abuse. Maybe he'll change a little after the baby is born. Or so I thought. But instead of changing, it just got worse and worse. Our marriage rapidly declined, and we stopped seeing each other, even inside the house. Then one day, Kevin said something unbelievable. We were taking care of 1-week-old twins, and yet he was going on a business trip for a week.
It's an important job and I can't afford to miss it. I'll be off the phone while I'm away, so please don't call me. No texts, no emails.
No way. Can't you get someone to change? I'm still postpartum, so I can't move much if anything happens. Who am I going to turn to if something happens to the kids? Kevin didn't listen to my desperate attempts to persuade him.
What? Don't try to get me to help. I'm working.
My husband puts his job first and brushed off my request. But I could tell. He is lying. He doesn't know it, but he has a habit of rubbing the bridge of his nose when he lies. I know this is a woman's intuition, but when he lied about going on a business trip, for some reason, I felt like I couldn't let it slide. I've pretended not to see the petty lies in the past, like cheating on his allowance or going out to the casino when he said he was going shopping. But this time was different. This is about raising our twins. What kind of lie is he telling this time? I'm sure he'll cover it up if I ask him at the moment. I pretended to give up on stopping Kevin from going on the business trip for the time being. Then, until the last minute before he left for his trip, I was checking on something. Bingo! My hunch was right after all. Kevin was hiding something terrible. I'll never forgive him. I'm going to get my revenge. A few days later, Kevin was humming a tune, getting himself cleaned up and in a good mood, when he said to me,
I'm going on a business trip now.
He's very excited to be going to work, but I'm not going to mention it. Have a good trip, and I hope you get home safely.
What? Did you say something?
No, nothing. Just be careful. I whispered the last words, so I don't think he heard me clearly. Though he tilted his head, wondering what I said, Kevin walked out of the house happily. So carefree, not knowing he's going to hell. Well, enjoy it at best. You won't be able to when you get back. While I wait for Kevin to come home, I'm going to finish my preparations. I can't wait to see his reaction in a week. A week passed, and Kevin came home. But he's not the same as he was before the trip. He looked exhausted. His face was covered in bruises. His clothes are also a bit dirty, and he is unsteady on his feet.
I'm home. Man, I'm so tired. Home is the best place for me.
Oh, you look terrible. What happened to your face? That bruise.
Oh, I just fell.
He's rubbing the bridge of his nose again. After all this time, he's still lying. After all, he doesn't know his lie is already revealed. That's when Kevin noticed something strange in the house.
What's with all the cardboard boxes? Are you moving or something?
The house is full of cardboard boxes with my personal belongings. I told him coldly. The kids and I are moving out. I'm not coming back here.
Huh? What the hell are you talking about?
I can't stay with a husband who lies that he's going on a business trip and cheats on his wife who has 1-week-old twins. I'm divorcing you and moving out. Kevin's eyes widened in surprise at my statement. He looks a little pale too, and he's yelling at me like I'm the one at fault.
Stop joking, Megan. This kind of harassment is too much. Just because I wasn't cooperative, do you have any proof that I cheated?
I showed him a video. There he was, my husband discussing a trip with his affair partner.
I'm looking forward to our trip tomorrow. Don't worry, I've got my wife to believe me. You were able to tell your husband as well? That's good to hear.
Kevin's face is now pale when he sees the video.
When did you... I'm pretty sure you were at the hospital when this happened.
I didn't think the camera I had ready would have footage like this either, and that's not what it was intended for in the first place. In fact, this is footage from the camera I had purchased for the babies. I was so anxious to be away from my child that I had cameras set up all over the room. I was afraid that if I told Kevin, he would say I was wasting my money, so I secretly bought these cameras with my personal savings. Kevin had told me about the woman before.
We have a new employee, Tori Anderson, but she's married.
I called his company to confirm his business trip after I saw the footage. Then I found out that Kevin was not on a business trip, but had took some days off. I asked to change to Tori Anderson, and as I expected, he replied that she was also on leave. And so I knew it was Tori, a colleague of work, with whom he was having an affair. I went through Kevin's study, found a note with contact information of employees, and called Tori's house. Tori's husband answered, and when I explained the situation, he was furious. Apparently, he has suspected Tori of cheating on him for a while, and he was just about to investigate. I asked him not to tell his wife about what he had heard. The day before Kevin came back from his business trip, Tori's husband contacted me and told me what had happened. Apparently, Kevin had gone to Tori's house to pick her up and ran into him, and he beat up Kevin on the spot. That's why he had a bruised face. He couldn't possibly go home, so he spent some time in a hotel and finally came home. Kevin couldn't say anything and was just standing in front of me with his mouth hanging open. Then someone jumped in.
What are you doing here, Mom and Dad?
It was my parents-in-law, their faces red with anger, who came into the living room. I called them and asked them to watch the video from the camera. In a fit of rage, my father-in-law punched Kevin in the face. He ended up with another bruise on his face.
How can you do something so stupid? You're not my son anymore.
More yelling came from behind me.
I'm taking my daughter and grandchildren home. Such an unbelievable man.
He's the worst.
Oh, Mom and Dad.
I actually had my own parents over to help me prepare for the move as well. My mom was hugging the kids and glaring coldly at Kevin. My father-in-law had tears in his eyes as he slapped Kevin in the face and cursed at him for being such a stupid son. Kevin's complexion was terrible as he was surrounded by both of our parents. There, I dropped another bomb on him. Oh yeah, I called the president of your company. That you were having an affair with a married woman on your days off. They've already found out about it. When Kevin heard that, he yelled at me.
You've got to be kidding me. What the hell?
Then my father raised his fist in the air and yelled back at him.
You've been cheating on my daughter, and now you're acting like this. You have a problem with my daughter? I'm sorry, sir.
Kevin had no way out and got down on the floor in front of me.
Please, Megan, the devil made me do it. Please, don't divorce me. I'll leave Tori, and I'll help you with the housework and childcare from now on.
Kevin pleads desperately, but my heart won't budge. It's just annoying. So I bluster out. What the hell are you talking about? You didn't even stand by me when I was going through the worst time of my life. Do you have any idea how hard it was for me to take care of the twins by myself and take care of the house? And you're on a trip with another woman? You must be really proud of what you've accomplished.
Please, don't say that. I'm sorry from the bottom of my heart, so...
Don't make excuses. I've run out of love for you. I can't possibly be married to you from now on. You will never come near me, or my children again, and I will charge you alimony and child support. I left him there, and we all left the apartment together. Later, Kevin and I divorced. I filed for alimony against Kevin and Tori for cheating on me, and of course, child support from him. Kevin was given a stern warning by the company, but he resigned voluntarily because he couldn't stand the eyes of his colleagues. Kevin owes me alimony and child support, plus the alimony demanded by Tori's husband, and he is now $100,000 in debt. He now works day and night, exhausted from manual labor. Tori also divorced her husband, quit her job, and moved back to her parents' house in the countryside. Her husband and I are suing her for alimony, and she is now working at a factory under supervision. I went back to my parents' house and am raising the twins with my mother's help. Just seeing the twins grow up day by day makes me happy. They are showered with love from everyone in the family, so the twins seem happy too. I will continue to do my best for the future of my twins.